Going to check in on the cannabis sector here, doing a live stream as we now have 5 trading days left before the votes next Tuesday. Feel free to post any questions or ticker requests that you have in the chat. Click the like and the share. And I'm going to do my analysis first and then start interacting with you all to answer some of those questions. So we're going to start off with the major players. And as we know, MSOS has been a dead weight as far as just not doing anything bullish, bigger picture. Now, last week, we had a bull break Tuesday and Wednesday of a key short-term resistance zone, and there are now significant red flags for the bulls because we have given back the entirety of that move. Progress means you make a bull move, you consolidate for a higher low, you see continuation. Making a bull move and giving everything back to go back to where you were is a big red flag. It shows a lack of follow through. It shows a lack of buying of the dips for people who missed the initial move. And again, it just makes bears extremely comfortable. And so where we stand right now, we have space on MSOS. 679 is major support, but we have space for a daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce. We can bounce 5% from here, set a daily lower high, and then we'll see if the bears are able to confirm a downtrend from that point. Again, you look at the longer term time frames. Here's the monthly chart. There's nothing bullish about this chart right now. And we just have to keep saying it like it is. The only reason I had interest in this sector was the Florida specific names that were showing relative strength, like TCNNF, because again, there's plenty of opportunity elsewhere in the markets. Uranium names are running. Bitcoin's now testing all-time highs. And so as a trader, just knowing anybody in the market that's a professional trader like me, you've really got to give good reason to get our attention when these names, DJT, the Trump stock into the election, and IONQ, supercomputing, and OKLO, uranium, these names have all run multiple hundreds of percent in the last 5 weeks. And so is a 20% move in cannabis over a week going to interest me when this is going on in the market? And there's hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollar volume in these names? I'm just keeping it real. No, why would I be interested in an OTC name looking for 20 to 50% when there's multiple hundreds of percent in names trading hundreds of millions of dollars? That's what's going on in the market right now. And so it's sucking attention away. I'm interested in cannabis when there's more opportunity there than anywhere else in the market. Same thing with crypto. That's when I'm focusing on crypto. And we're just not in that environment in the market right now. And so, heading into the vote, I'm going to answer a lot of these questions that you all have. Is it a sell the news? What happens if we get a no vote in Florida and things like that? But again, just zooming out from all the specifics, this sector is still the weakest major sector in the entire market. We're still, yes, vote yes on Florida 3 is a short-term catalyst, a long-term catalyst for a lot of these Florida-specific companies. Aside from that, we're still just talking about catalysts that are a very slow process in the Schedule 3, the hearings and all that. If you're following cannabis, you're excited about a Schedule 3 hearing. If you're not following cannabis, you don't care at all about that whatsoever. So again, it's just a scenario where this sector is really struggling to get attention from people that aren't just following the sector for the last bunch of years. And those of you that are on this stream right now are the people that are following this sector very closely when the vast majority of the world is not. So again, I'm just going to be keeping it real because that's all I know how to do. And I'm not going to be saying things that you want to hear necessarily in terms of we're about to run big time, it's just getting started. I just don't see that on the charts right now. But things can change quickly. So I'm not giving up on the sector yet. But as I mentioned in the last public video, I'm taking profits before this move. And so, I started taking profits last week. That's not what I meant to post. I started taking profits last week in TCNNF. So I took out 20% last Wednesday. I took off another 20% this morning. So now I'm out 40% in the low 13s with an average. So exited in the low 13s, and I will probably sell a bit more into the vote, although not in hourly oversold conditions. hourly oversold. If I were looking to get in before the election and the vote, this is when I'm looking to buy hourly oversold for a daily higher low. But we do have TCNNF pulling back fairly significantly. Weekly consolidation is underway. And again, we know that it's all about the results in Florida and what we're going to get. And again, just risk reward. If we get a positive vote, how much more will we run? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I do think there will be a bit of upside. I don't know how short-lived it will be. But when you compare that answer to what happens if it's a no vote, we dump. We know we dump. The risk reward is not ideal heading into that vote. But as I've mentioned, I will keep a smaller position, but this is a profit-taking move for me because the entire trade thesis was play the run-up into the vote. We got the run-up into the vote with this move of 50% plus. And so that to me means, okay, be taking some profit. And so I'll probably take a bit more off before the vote over the next 5 days. AYRWF, lots of space for a daily higher low. Bulls really want to hold any back test of 222 and 218, this resistance zone. Want to hold that as support. And again, just more volatile in both directions. It's pretty much the same as TCNNF as far as how much have we pulled back from its high. 10% drop there. TCNNF, 11%. But it also had a much bigger percentage move in the move leading up into that consolidation. One more note on TCNNF. How many times have I pointed this out? What marked the top? The gap up open. These market makers on the OTC are not sneaky. They have these signals, and there's so many Twitter posts and videos where I've talked about these gap ups being very clear top signals in these names. And here was just another one where we gap up open at the high of 1378, and it's been nothing but consolidation since then. And when it happened, I didn't have internet that day, or I was driving on the road tripping, I forget what. I remember saying, uh-oh, we really don't like to see those gap ups. And that was the top. So again, here's a gap down. This was a gap down open. This was a gap down open. It's just these gaps are, unless there's a big clear headline that's new information, if you get a gap on these names, you pay attention significantly because of how high a percentage they follow through. Curaleaf, again, gave back the entire move. And again, I look at this chart long term. Is there anything bullish about this weekly chart? There's just not. There's just nothing on the weekly and monthly chart right now that says this is a bullish setup. I wish it was, but it's just not. So we're looking back down at the base of support in the 290s. But again, we just gave the move back. One bright side for this sector is that the higher listed names did not give back their entire move. They pulled back. Here's HITI, which was one of the relative strength names. Very clear wall of resistance at 310. Battle going on there. But we still have, we pulled back. We set a higher low at 266, but there's still progress here. We're still seeing higher lows and not a higher high yet, but we're holding higher lows. And you look at these other names, CGC, higher low every single day since the 22nd bull move, October 22nd. It's looking a little toppy right now, but again, every day is a higher low. MSOS, every day has been a lower high the last 4 days in a row. It's the opposite. We're dropping for 4 days in MSOS, and these higher listed names are still grinding up for 4 days. TLRY, little daily higher low and higher high. Again, no follow through. It's not a big move. It's not an attention grabber. But we can say the higher listed names since October 22nd are performing better than the US names. They're holding on to the gains better. SNDL, fresh highs today, highest level in months. Still battling this 224, 225 zone. We're at that level right now. But again, progress. We see the 22nd bull move that everybody saw. We set the higher low and we get continuation. USMJ didn't do that. We didn't set the higher low. We didn't see continuation. We saw the 2-day move and then profit taking. So again, you just got to keep in mind just ask the question. Let's just zoom out of the MJ bubble. Again, as I mentioned, I know most of you here are diehard, love the sector. I understand it. Me too. Like the sector. It's the most profitable sector I've ever traded in my career. But why would anybody that is not in the MJ bubble be focusing on MJ, which is federally illegal? Most of the US MJ names are on the OTC. Why would they be focusing here when there's so much opportunity elsewhere? We have to see that change. We have to see something show us that this has more opportunity than all these other sectors. And we just don't have that right now. So, and again, I'm going to answer some of these questions here, but I'll start off with some member questions. So we've already seen everything the candidates are willing to give us pre-election. Yes, we know Trump said some positive things, Kamala said some positive things, but also I don't believe what they're saying in terms of, do I think Trump's going to make any actual action on cannabis? I don't think so. Do I think Kamala Harris is going to do anything right out of the gate if she wins? No, I don't think so. I think it's a long, slow, grinding road as it has been for the last 8+ years. I don't think anything's going to change in that regard. Will a yes vote in Florida be a 1 or 2 day pop? Again, it depends on how we head into that. For example, if we had the vote tomorrow and it passes, I expect some nice follow through because we've been consolidating. But we need to see how the next 5 days goes. I'll have. It's the kind of thing where why would I put myself out on a limb and give that answer now when I can give that answer the day before the election and have 5 more days of information before giving what my expectation after the vote is. So it depends on what the next 5 days do. Same thing with DJT. I was looking for DJT to be a short today and sell the news into the election. But what do I think is going to happen after the election? Are we down trading at 36 leading into the vote? Are we up trading at 65 leading into the vote? Those are 2 completely different scenarios, and I won't have that information for another few days. So as of right now, I'm looking for hourly oversold bounces in TCNNF and MSOS and eventual potential daily lower highs because of how much we pulled back in some of these names. How much dumpage will we see with the no vote? Honestly, enough for me to know that I want absolutely no position if that happens in any of the Florida names. I would expect, if this run-up is due to the possibility of that, vote, I would expect to give that back. And potentially then some. With MSOS giving back the majority of the move, is it the market pricing in a Trump win? The market has been shifting over the last 5 weeks with increased probability of Trump winning. And we see private prisons up for the last 5 weeks, DJT up for the last 5 weeks. Whether or not you care about the predicting vote, the betting markets, they've been going up the last 5 weeks. So the market has shifted over the last 5 weeks to increase probabilities of Trump. Do I think Florida names will dump on a Trump win even if yes on 3 passes? I don't think so. How likely do I think the sector is to test an all-time low if Trump wins and Florida fails? It's definitely on the table. Well, let me see. TCNNF has a long way to go. MSOS. It's always on the table just because these sectors are not showing any long-term strength right now. Again, things can change, obviously. All I'm saying is what I'm seeing right now. It's just, there's just no strong setups. Again, we had the Florida names showing strength. They were some nice bullish setups. It's not game over for the Florida names. If hourly oversold marks a daily higher low for TCNNF and we're green, Wednesday, Thursday of this week, and then we're trading back up at $13, it's still just fine, bigger picture. But again, so many of these other names like Cureleaf, GTBIF, they don't have a bullish chart set up. Canadian versus US names, how would they react in different scenarios? I think if Florida fails, everything drops. Obviously, the Florida specific names would drop more significantly. But again, we just notice little differences. Clearly, the higher listed names are outperforming the last 3 to 4 days. And so best case would be, if these higher listed names start daily consolidation, do we see some rotation back into US names? It's just so hard. Again, it's just so hard for me to be bearish setups. When you have this kind of momentum, this is when it's supposed to be easy for bulls. And it's been easy for Florida names. But everything else in the sector, it has not been easy. Can TCNNF go higher before the vote? Sure, absolutely. It's definitely a possibility. Do I think we're going to see a higher high before the vote? I don't. I don't think that's the most likely scenario. Considering we would need to go 12% plus from here in 5 trading days, it's definitely a possibility, but I don't think it's the most probable scenario, which is why I've been taking profit. All right, now looking at you YouTube commenters. 4 likes, huh? Okay. I see. With cannabis stocks already struggling to form any real momentum, will a no vote on 3 really cause them to dump that much? For Florida names, yes, it will. Because again, this move from $5, we'll call it $6 to where we are now, is pricing in Florida on the ballot and the possibility that Florida passes. Is it fully pricing it in? I don't think so. But it's a 100% move. We've gone 100% in less than a year. And so that is pricing in a good bit. And so if it doesn't happen, we've got to reprice in a good bit of the price appreciation we've seen in 2024 in Florida names. And then the end of that question was, will a no vote on 3 really cause them to dump that much? The ALJ hearing on rescheduling is soon. Again, a hearing means nothing to anybody but people who closely follow this sector. You need a sexy headline. You want a sexy headline? We were talking about being bullish uranium years ago. Shout out to Red Devil and the other people that have been covering it in our chat room since 2022. And those charts have been going up, and they've been bullish charts and all-time highs since 2022. The herd only got interested in uranium when it got tied to the AI narrative. Oh, all these big companies, Microsoft, Google, they need nuclear to power this AI chip revolution. Now it's a sexy headline that we have interest in. And this is the herd. This is a uranium name in Blue Sky Breakout that is up 200% in a month because the headline got sexy. And when I say sexy headline, I mean the herd pays attention. Average Joe. Oh, I understand that. I want to buy uranium stocks. A hearing headline for Schedule 3 is the most non-sexy headline for cannabis that you can have. Yes, it's progress. Yes, it's a slow step forward. Is it going to get anybody's attention? I don't think so at all. Not even close, especially with, Bitcoin's about to steal attention here. Bitcoin is 2% or less from all-time highs. And if we're about to see Bitcoin rip in new all-time highs and Blue Sky Breakout, that's another siphon of attention away from cannabis. So the hearings mean nothing. Schedule 3, even Schedule 3 being official, I think it would have a bullish reaction. But again, it's not a sexy headline that the herd will care about. I mean, the next real sexy headline is legalization in terms of being a monumental mover. The herd has not really cared about Schedule 3 a lot. Not in a significant way. You understand my short-term focus, but do I look at the sector as a long-term buy? No, I never have. Why? because I don't think it's a big profitable business. I think, you know, we saw it in Canada. You get this influx of everybody producing it. The prices of the commodity drop massively. It's not a huge profit maker. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But I don't think I'm wrong. You know, I don't think these are blue chip stocks that are going to go up 1,000% over a 5-year period and sustain those gains. You know, I think best case is you get some legalization and you get bought out by bigger companies. Anyways, that's all just personal opinion. All I know is that for 14 years of trading this sector, you buy, you sell euphoria, and you move on. And you wait for the next time it happens again. And that has proven true at least 4 to 5 distinct cycles of playing out. And I just don't see the path forward where these become good long-term investments. And again, just dilution. I mean, look at the CGC dilution. 565 factoring in reverse splits, and we're trading at 5. We will never go back to those all-time highs in so many of these Canadian names. I just wish I had better things to say and more hope, but I'm just going off my experience, and I would love to be wrong. I would love to. I will have a higher net worth if I am dead wrong, because I will definitely make money on the way up of 1,000% move. I just don't see the path forward unless we get a surprise. Things are legal now. Like, okay, that changes my opinion. But with how we go in politics with this sector, this slow grind is just isn't going to do it. Planet 13, I haven't looked at it in forever, but yes, I am familiar with it. PLNH, I forget the ticker. PLNH? Again, it's just a long-term downtrend. Simple statement, we have to get over 69 cents or nothing changes. That's a level breaking that would say, okay, something is shifting. If that level is not breaking, nothing is shifting. So we must break 69 cents. Again, you just look at these charts like this. So much of the sector looks like this. We just need some kind of sexy headline catalyst. What market correlations would I look for? Honestly, I mean, we've got euphoria across the market in 2024. The S&P 500, up until a week or two ago, was the strongest it's been in a year in 27 years. That's the backdrop with this sector having key votes and still underperforming so significantly. I mean, the market has been risk on for a while now, and the sector just isn't benefiting from it. Granted, IWM and low caps have not been massively risk on, but I mean, we're up near the all-time high. The last time IWM was up here is when, you know, the sector was hundreds of percent higher. Last time IWM was at all-time highs, MSOS was 500% higher than where it is right now. IIPR, the strongest name in the sector that nobody cares about. I'm glad you asked. Most important short-term support is 127.36. If that level were to break, we would then watch for monthly consolidation. I don't love a break here with no follow-through. I never love a bull break of a bull flag with no follow-through. So if these well, let's just keep it simple. 127.36. If that level is support, no red flags. But if that level is lost, I'd be looking for monthly consolidation and then monthly higher low, potentially back down into the 1 teens area. Yeah, so Bobby, Joe, I appreciate you sharing. You keep averaging down in MSOS until the day legalization comes. If that happens in 10 years from now, I mean, you're going to be just hoping to get back to break even if there's no other catalysts in any meaningful way. And all you got to do is just look at, again, these Canadian names. Anybody that's just been averaging down, it's been a terrible mistake. And so I don't love that strategy unless you're using money where you're just like, it's zero. I don't care. It's a lottery ticket. That's the only way that I would be having that strategy, because it just sets you up to lose a lot more than you thought you could. There's no risk management in that strategy. And, can MSOS, I mean, I've seen ETFs fail. There's a VIX ETF years ago that broke and failed and went to zero. I don't think MSOS is going to break and fail, but if this sector does not see a sexy catalyst and we're going years down the road, these companies are just going to dilute. They're on the OTC. If they can't uplist and get capital, they're just going to continue diluting to keep operations going, and shareholder value is just going to get smashed like we've seen pretty much in any Canadian name. That's what's been going on for the last 5 to 6 years. Just dilution, debt spirals. And you have to protect against that. MSOS still have monthly higher lows and higher highs. I would disagree. So what I have is low, lower high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, loss of the higher lows. We're not in an uptrend anymore on the break of 730. Are we in a downtrend? Not a clear one. This is an ambiguous range. We're not in a clear uptrend or a clear downtrend on the monthly. But what we can say is anything under 1137 is just a monthly lower high. So the most likely scenario on a monthly bounce without a major catalyst is a monthly lower high to be the result of that bounce. Is it already being set? If Florida fails, the answer is probably yes. If Florida doesn't fail, we don't have enough information. Again, I'm just trying to keep it real. I know I'm a bummer. I don't like being a bummer. It's so much more fun when we're all making money and things are going up. CGC, again, just to revisit real quickly, what's the look on CGC? Daily stair-step pattern, which means a higher low every day. We will be looking for a daily higher low next consolidation. When's the last time we had a weekly uptrend? Has not happened since we topped out in April or May. April. We must, whenever we top out, we must confirm a weekly uptrend. We then have to confirm a monthly uptrend. We're back to square one in the longer term time frames in terms of needing to regain those trends. The big question is dilution. If you're talking long term, the most important aspect of investing in names like this is dilution. Who has to issue shares? Because again, if I own 1% of the company and they have to issue shares, next thing I know, I own 0.5% of the company and nothing changed on my end, but the value of my position is now half as much of the company as it was. And I just find that most people don't understand debt, convertible debt, and dilution to their disadvantage. And that's why they hold things and they think it's all the shorts. It's all the shorts are piling on. No, it's just dilution. I was one of them. I'm just speaking from experience. I learned about dilution because I gave back a 700% gain in a penny stock. and I thought it was the one, and it had the fundamental story, and I just watched the slow bleed for a year plus, and I gave the whole thing back. And then I learned about convertible debt and dilution, and I established rules to ensure that I never made that mistake again. I will never invest in something that's traded on the OTC, because by default, if you're on the OTC, you probably have to issue shares to raise capital to keep your company running. So if there's one takeaway, and if you don't have a very firm grasp on what debt, dilution, and convertible debt is, spend 10 hours studying that concept and understanding it and reading in the balance sheet and in the earnings reports what it looks like. It tells you, this amount of shares was given at this discount for this price. And then I know, okay, this entity that gave the company money as a loan can sell these shares at any price above $8 and be profitable. The number one question people ask is, who's selling down here? It's the people that were given shares at a 50% discount to the current price because they're taking on risk by loaning the company money, and they can sell anywhere and be profitable on that position. Well, anywhere above their price that they were given at a discount. Can these names go to all-time low? Yes. Again, you always prepare for the worst case scenario. You have to have that as an aspect of your game plan. What do I do if we break bull on huge volume because Florida passes and we get a lot of media attention? What do I do if Florida fails and we're heading back to all-time lows? You've got to have the game plans laid out in advance. Both directions. Awesome. Lock Doctor. So Lock Doctor's been watching for a year. If anybody's watched the free info and learned how to correlate these things, the channel becomes extremely informative. I'm struggling to speak. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's the goal. Just trying to help people learn how to not lose their money, and then ideally learn to make money. So even, safe banking, right? How many times have we heard that? So people making some predictions think it makes sense that cannabis runs hard once crypto tops, like 2017, 2018. That's possible, but again, you need the catalyst. And maybe the catalyst is Schedule 3's official at that point. Okay, I won't say that can't happen. Absolutely. Safe during lame duck. All right, safe, not sexy. Does anybody that I know in my life, is anybody going to care about safe aside from people that have closely been following cannabis for the last few years? No, not one. Not one person will see that headline and think anything of it. The last thing they'll think is I should buy shares of a company. Now, granted, if SAFE leads to uplisting, the actual uplisting, definitely bullish. But SAFE is not a sexy headline. The herd will not care about SAFE. So you just got to hope that uplisting leads to institutions caring about the sector, because again, it won't be the herd. SAFE, what's that? Okay, you can uplist. Okay, tax benefits. Okay, I don't care. That doesn't mean anything to me. That will be the reaction to the vast majority of market participants. You got to have the sexy headline. Colorado and Washington, first states legalizing. Sexy headline. Whoa, states have legal cannabis for the first time ever? Now states legalizing, no longer sexy. Florida, massive population, different. But, Missouri legalizes whatever, it's not the same. So Justin disagrees, thinks they have big cash generators as society shifts more towards cannabis, especially in drinks. You know, there'll be money made for sure. And you're going to have the value added products to reap it, because again, the price of the plant, dry flower, goes to the bottom. It's a race to the bottom in prices once everybody can grow it. There will be money to be made, but again, I think, you know, the companies that are going to make significant money are just going to get bought up by somebody else, and that's a nice payday. But, you know, then you're now a part of this big company, and maybe that big company is a good investment for the next decade plus, but it won't be the little individual small company. So Amendment 3, rescheduling. Scientific studies keep coming out about positives of cannabis and many more uptrend potentials. I hope so. I just don't see it as the most likely scenario. I'm not saying we can't go up. You know, if the market heads towards a blow-off top, then we will be in euphoria mode where everybody's throwing money at everything. But it's just so many people have learned their lessons. I mean, you just got to think of the bag holders as well. Every one of these stocks has people that are underwater and would love to just get back their investment. There's somebody with MSOS at $15 average. And if we go to 15, oh, thank God. I learned my lesson. I can't believe I get a second chance. Give me my money back. Every single chart has those bag holders just at every level overhead. That's why blue sky breakout is the best thing for a bull, because that doesn't exist. Nobody is underwater that bought that stock that is in blue sky breakout, and they rip because there's no overhead supply. But some of these stocks just have so much overhead supply. Where's the new wave going to be coming from? You just got to hope for the uplistings and that the institutional buyers get interested. I mean, here's my path forward. My path forward for significant catalysts in the sector, aside from the sexy legalization headline, is you get the ability for these companies to uplist, and you get buyouts where large alcohol, pharmaceutical, whoever buys these companies for a nice 50 to 100% premium. And then people jump into the other companies saying, okay, this one might get bought up. And you see in the biotech sector where one biotech gets bought out and everything goes up for the potential that they can get bought out as well. I think the best case scenario for these names in this sector is buyout potential. ACB never ever going back to all-time highs. It's just coming from the penny stock world where I started my trading career. These are the kinds of charts that you see everywhere because they're debt dilution spirals. Doesn't mean there's not opportunity. You know, if you go 4 to 8, it's great, 100% move. What do you care that we used to be up at 1,500, including reverse splits? But we've got a clear resistant wall. So 623 to 628. Look at how many times, actually let's go 623 to 632. Look at how many times we've rejected from the zone now. Very clearly, this is the zone in the short term. Reject, 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 reject. The most important support is 565. If we hold 565, we remain within striking distance of trying to take out this resistance. If we break 565, it's a big convincing rejection, and bears breathe a sigh of relief, and they know they still have full control. You've got to turn these resistance zones into support. MSOS broke the resistance zone and failed to hold it as support. We saw the reaction when we finally got over it. Wow, that's power, that's volume. That was pent up energy. You've got to hold the back test or there's no progress. You've got to create stair-step uptrends. Go up and give it all back. What does that train everybody in this sector to do? Sell any pop. The pops don't last. We don't progress forward. Every time I hold on looking for more, I'm disappointed. The entire sector gets trained to sell all the pops. So with safe banking passing, I mean, we don't know anything about safe banking passing. That's nowhere near a most likely scenario. Schedule 3 coming eventually looks that way. And Florida, yes, we don't know. So no, 2 of your 3 are unknowns. So yeah, I will take my 50% profit every time into unknown events. Because as a full-time trader, I am trained to just keep locking in profit. Am I going to leave money on the table a bunch of times? Yep. Am I going to give back a bunch of money that I made? Nope. Because I lock in profit. What would convince me to hold is sustainable. The volume we saw on October 22nd, give me days of that in a row. That's convincing. Volume tells us, is there a lot of interest? Is there a lot of buying going on? And if it's just one day, that short's getting stopped out. But again, you don't have the buying where people say, oh, we broke resistance. I've got cash on the sideline. I'm going to buy consolidation. Nobody bought the consolidation. In summary, I'm going to keep reading here, but I'm not saying we can't go up. I'm not saying we can't go up after the vote. I'm just saying that long term in this sector, we just have to be trained to sell at least partial positions into euphoria and into strength, because so often it is short-lived. I do think if Amendment 3 passes, that the Florida names will have a bit more pricing in to do. I do not think Amendment 3 is fully priced in. But again, I know I'm repeating myself at this point, but you've got to attract the attention of the traders. DJT, I don't care at all about Trump's stock. I have been trading DJT a ton over the last few days because volume and volatility is telling me, hey, this is where where all the professional traders are focused and trading right now. And today's going to have $7 billion traded. And that gets my attention. All right, I'm in. I'm coming and I'm trading this name. And so until this sector has that, and it's had it in the past, you go back and look at CGC, and here, hey, full-time traders, there is volume, liquidity, and volatility. Come get it. But here, nope, not at all. Not anywhere near enough for anybody to be interested. You've got to get the professional full-time traders. You've got to get the herd with a sexy headline, or you just don't have enough volume to make a dent in terms of seeing significant price appreciation. Don't the fundamentals prevent these stocks from dropping? Great question. No. For example, you can have the best fundamental story, but if your company is diluting significantly, your share price is going to go down. It's a mathematical equation. Oh, outstanding shares increases. To have the same market cap, the price must drop to adjust. So I'm not saying everything in the sector is diluting right now, but I'm just saying that, the fundamental story is not enough. This is why I use technical analysis, because the technical analysis tells me the trends tells me the things in addition to the story, which is what really matters. I mean, all I care about is price. Can I sell higher than what I bought it at? And a great story many times isn't enough for the answer to be yes, that I can sell higher than where I bought it at. I wasn't intending for this live stream to be this bearish. Again, I still have a solid position in TCNNF right now. I've got 60% of a full position. So I don't know how I got to. I guess it was the questions about the longer term, because I have never been interested in long-term investments in this sector. But I'm also a trader. So, you know, you can write off what I say just because I'm biased in that regard, and that's fine. Just know that there's nobody else making content out there that has more experience in this sector than I do. It just doesn't exist. Doesn't mean I can't be wrong. It just means I'm speaking from the most experience that you can find on the internet trading cannabis stocks. TrueLeave is trying to get the hourly oversold bounce play going. Need to confirm a 5-minute uptrend. Oh, we just made a quick little pop. That was nice. But what happens when you drop like that? We're just going to look for an hourly lower high to be the result of that bounce. The key is, can we confirm an hourly uptrend so that hourly oversold marks the daily higher low? And again, that's why it's important that, you know, TCNNF needs to be green the next 2 days. Otherwise, it's a red flag. If hourly oversold doesn't mark the daily high or low, it's not ideal. I mean, look at IONQ, monster supercomputing company, or monster run for a supercomputing company. Look at the response to hourly oversold backburner. Put on your backburner indicator. So backburner hits, we bounce 10%, 8%. 10%, and we create the space for an hourly higher low to try and be the result of that bounce. That's a constructive back burner, and if that marks the daily higher low, this move isn't done yet. If that does not mark the daily higher low, then this move is likely done for now. Good question. Well, I've got to back up a little bit. All right, hold on here. What are the probabilities? Sorry, I got to. Catalyst, Florida, Schedule 3, Germany, Mexico, Ireland, uplisting, legalization. But all of those are, you know, hasn't Germany played out? I mean, maybe not showing up on balance. The headlines have played out. Ireland, I don't see it. Societal shift played out. The societal shift is why I got interested 2010. Okay? So 2010 to 2015 was the societal shift. Medicine of the future. Again, how many states can you get it as medicine? I'm just giving the opposite side here. What are the probabilities for TCNNF to complete the monthly inverse head and shoulders? They are exactly the same as the probabilities of Amendment 3 passing or not. If Amendment 3 fails, we fail. If Amendment 3 passes, we definitely have a shot at it. Do I think 1,000% plus moves are possible in this sector anymore? Nope. I mean, PEY, you're saying just what I was saying about the market. So why aren't 1,000% plus runs possible anymore? Market cap and share count. Go look at do some research. Look at CGC's market cap now, not market cap. Look at their outstanding shares now versus 5 years ago. There's so much more supply of shares. Even do the MSOs. Go look at any of the major MSOs shares now versus 2020. And what's the difference? Because if they have twice as many outstanding shares, it's going to be twice as hard to run that much. Just think about it. If, you know, I'm buying trading cards, and I've got, you know, I've got 5 of the 10 rookie trading cards of this great player. There's a ton of value there. And then suddenly they find, actually, there's twice as many rookie cards as we thought there were. And so now I only have 25%. There's more supply. They're less valuable. So what's the point of taking so much risk if the upside is limited or muted? Many less risky names and sectors have run 100% plus year to date. I mean, that's what I was talking about. There's so much opportunity elsewhere in the markets right now. That is why this sector is not getting attention. People need to understand it's not the president who will progress the sector, it's who's in the Senate and the House. I can definitely agree with that. Thanks for checking in, Dylan. Tax reform, definitely a positive, but again, not a sexy headline for the herd. If we can get uplisting and there's tax reform, yes, institutions and banks will care about that headline. But again, just like I have my automatic rule, never invest in an OTC name, these banks and institutions have their rules. Never invest in a stock with a share price under X dollars. Never invest in whatever other fundamental metric. Never invest in a, you know, they've all got the rules. That's how you have to have a system of rules established to be able to make money in markets over a long period of time. And so you just have to see these barriers lifted that allow these institutions to put their money at work. But again, I mean, how many times have I talked about the liquidity of these OTC names? If I, as an individual, if they're not liquid enough for me, institutions are nowhere near interested. You know, for them to exit the position would drop the stock price 40%. You can't build a large position in something where that's a possibility. If I wanted to exit $30 million of DJT today, I could do so very easily, having slim impact on the price. If I wanted to do that in any of these names, I would have a big impact on the price. That's where liquidity is key. If all this is not bullish, then why do I cover cannabis? Cannabis, well, I've made good money this year in cannabis. I mean, if I don't make another dollar in cannabis for the next year, I'm good to go. It's been great. And I know, you know, I'm not trying to rub it in. I've done my best to tell everybody what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. You know, I think a bottom's in when we get this initial Schedule 3 announcement way back when, and I sell before the summer bleed I'm anticipating, and I reload end of summer for the Florida run-up. It's been good money. And again, this is the most profitable sector I've ever traded. If you look at my stock trading career, in the last 14 years, the most profitable names that I've traded, CGC is number 1. And the vast majority of that is long. And then I think Tesla's number 2. APHA is up there. Cron's up there. I mean, my top 7, half of them are cannabis names. I'm good at knowing the cycles, not holding on to losers and selling euphoria. I mean, that's just what it boils down to. And so a move, of TCNNF from 8 or 9 to 12 or 13, that's very worthwhile. But that's also because it's, is that going to change my life? No. I needed the 1,000% moves when I was trading the sector with $3,000. And now if I'm trading it with 6 figures, 10, 50%, that's great. So I understand the difference there as well. All right, SNDL, already covered it. The vote is 1 week from today, but we won't have the results until probably that night for Amendment 3. I only do common shares in this sector. Justin, that's exactly right. People are trading the fundamentals, hoping the technicals play out as opposed to reacting to the technicals to tell the story instead. I mean, that's my trading career in a nutshell. I started all fundamentals, and I learned that's not the best way to play markets. There's a better way. Because price and technicals don't get fooled by a story. I can get fooled by a story. Does this sector ever recover? I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. CGC, no. ACB, no. TLRY, no. They will never be back. It's not possible. I mean, TLRY, 300 to $1? No. And it's because of share dilution. Look at how many outstanding shares Tilray had when it ran to 300, and look at how many it has now, and you just realize it's not possible. I mean, if we were to get it back to 300, its market cap would be exponentially more than it was back in 2018 because there's way more shares. I highly suggest on the topic of dilution, look up dilution chart, guys, and watch this video if you want to learn more about it, understanding dilution, and then go from there and do more research. But one of the keys for me was learning to read a balance sheet and understand dilution and convertible debt within earnings reports. What about CGC, gap at 641? Again, anything within, absolutely, it can be hit. I'm not saying the top is in and we're heading to all-time lows. I'm saying that there are red flags for this price action 1 week before the vote. It's not game over. The Florida names are still in daily uptrends. And I'm just mixing in answering questions about long term, which is why I always care about 1 month at a time in this sector. Let's take it 1 month at a time. And again, I know you have to look longer out than 1 month if you're looking at investing. But I'm not looking at investing. And again, if I'm wrong, I will make money being wrong. That's the difference. If I'm investing for things to go up, if I'm wrong, I'm losing money. If I don't think that this sector is investable long term and I'm wrong, I will make money. Not as much as I could have made, but my net worth will still be higher. MSOS to 20. If we get Amendment 3 and rescheduling, I mean, how long does rescheduling take? Is it overnight? Okay, rescheduling is here now. Or is it a hearing and then, you know, what does that process look like? How drawn out is it? The more long and drawn out it is, the less bang for your buck you have on a headline move. I don't think I'm causing... I mean, here's CGC, 573 extended hours, 572. We fail by a penny, and now we're shaping up daily consolidation. Most MSOs did not dilute that much since 2020. Well, what's that much? I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, so I'm not going to pretend like I know. But I mean, I don't want to bore you all while I'm doing this research. Oh, nice. This is beautiful. 187 million, July 30th of this year. When did it have its run? So we'll say summer, fall, summer 20 into the fall of 21. So there's the jump right there. 130 to 180. So your outstanding shares, 50 divided by 130. You just increased it. Increased outstanding shares 38%. That's massive. And yes, we have not gone up much from 180 to 187. That is correct. But that's a lot. That was a big jump. So what does that mean? That means that the market cap at the same price, I don't want to confuse people, but you essentially, you know, if you, the market cap at the all-time high for TCNNF was X dollars, we would get to that same market cap long before we get to that all-time high because of the increase in outstanding shares. But yeah, that's a good website. Y charts, just go and do that for everything. No, doesn't have it here. Anyways. What are the chances of Amendment 3 passing? In my opinion, I'm going with 66%. That seems pretty in line. I think it's the more likely scenario, but it's definitely possible it doesn't happen because they need the 60%, obviously. Dilution is inflation in stocks. Absolutely. All right, people saying MSOs aren't diluting much. We need to do Curaleaf. Where was it? That was such a good layout. Shares outstanding insights. So summer 2021, 213. Okay, that's not a huge jump. 10%. TCNNF's jump was bigger. Just needs to ensure that it stays that way. Because if they have to start diluting, Green Thumb's been dropping a bit. No one else really doing that. One more. One more. Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought it was. And TCNNF is the worst. Now, of course, CGC, TLRY, ACB, different story. Do large volume on options at certain strike prices indicate a possible future move in the direction? We can't make that assumption. There are so many times, hedging is so prevalent in markets. You know, you see, oh, SPY, huge puts are bought at this price. And people assume that's someone betting it's going to go down. Meanwhile, that person could be long $1 billion common shares, $1 billion in common shares, and they're just hedging by grabbing some puts. You know, you look at, what's his name? Shark Tank, Mark Cuban. He was talking about how he got 1 point whatever billion dollars in Yahoo stock. And rather than selling any to protect, he just bought a ton of puts. He didn't think it was going to go down, but he was just protecting his position. His movement of buying puts or whatever instruments he used was based on protecting his existing position with no insight into future, what he felt was the future most likely scenario. He was just saying, I like the amount of money I have. I don't want to give any of it back. If I leave some on the table, I don't care. This is all that I need right now. And so people watching the option chain would see him, you know, doing these things and say, somebody knows something. No, we can't make that assumption. Tilray outstanding shares 93% higher. So yeah, the higher listed names looking like they're diluting more recently. Yeah, the point of being a public company is to dilute, absolutely. You just got to keep a watch on them. The amount of people that I observe that don't watch that at all is alarming. It's one of the most important things about investing is understanding, you know, just keeping an eye on that to ensure that your stake in the company is not losing value regardless of what the price is doing. TradingView has an indicator. That's good to know. I'll have to check it out. Thanks. All right, we're wrapping it up here. I'm going to do an afternoon live stream for the chart guys, checking in on the markets. But again, just to summarize here, I gave my opinions on the long term. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but I hope so. Other than that, are we done here in the short term? No, that's not what I'm saying. If I thought that was the case, I would be all cash right now. I still have a 60% position. I will be taking profit a little bit more into this vote. If the vote fails, I'm all cash. I want nothing to do with this sector. If Amendment 3 fails, I will sit on the sidelines and watch things play out. If Amendment 3 passes, I want to see what volume looks like and price action looks like, and that's going to dictate my decisions from here in the short term. So it all still boils down to Amendment 3. I mean, that's what this sector is hinging on in the short term. And again, the upcoming catalysts that so many of you are waiting for, just keep in mind that, in my opinion, they are not sexy headlines that are going to see a surge of new money coming in. And we need something in addition for that to be the case. And, if you uplist, professional traders will get interested and they will bring their volume and they will look for scenarios where they can run things. The people buying DJT right now, the people buying this stock, they're not the professionals trading this name in the 30s for this leg up are not buying because they believe in the company. They're buying because they're recognizing there's a short squeeze going on. There's plenty of liquidity. The risk and reward favors further upside from here. It's all about the metrics of the setup and it's just GME. That's what GME was, right? So GME, you've got all these apes that believe in the fundamental story, but the real money that was trading GME saw the scenario, saw the liquidity and the volume and the opportunity, and they jumped on it. They get their pie. They're not investing in the long term. And so you have to have a setup that brings the professional traders, which is what 2021 was, 2020. MSOS, a new ETF, a new instrument that can propel these stocks in blue sky breakout to significant valuations way beyond what they're worth in market cap, but it's an opportunity that we can take advantage. TLRY to 300. All that was professional traders jumping on an opportunity where they saw that they could squeeze the shit out of a stock and make a bunch of money and grab their money and bail. And so you need that kind of setup to prevent itself in the sector to get the kind of volume that leads to significant price action and appreciation. And OTC is not it and never will be. All right. Love you all. Do good things. And let's hope for Amendment 3. Again, I'm not shorting the sector. I'm still holding longs. Just keeping it real. Do good things.